Hey everybody, it's your girl Heavenly B,
Dell.
David.
and we are here for another episode of the Prince George's Weekly. And we're talking all about the things that matter to the community, matter to us, and a special celebration because it's Black History Month. We're gonna be talking about all things Black. Okay. And one of my favorite things that happened this month that I had to introduce the guys to is HillmanTok. Woo! So, guys, before I ask you all your thoughts about HillmanTok, I'm going to give the audience just a brief little summary of what it is. Okay. HillmanTok is basically an online university. If you're watching, you see I have my air quotes. Okay. And it is an HBCU, okay, started accidentally by a woman named Dr. Barlow, who is a professor at North Carolina A&T University, okay? And she accidentally made a post. Well, not accidentally, she purposely made a post for her real students and accidentally went viral because everybody else on TikTok thought that she was their teacher. So everybody was asking her about when is the start date? When does enrollment begin? And it just was like an overflow of people wanting to be a part of this course in African American history, okay, African American studies. So fast forward, other teachers and professors started joining in, and it created this community, and they named it HillmanTok, or they hashtagged it HillmanTok, and it just grew from there. So let's get into it, guys.
Does everybody know why it's called HillmanTok? Please.
We do, but we do. But okay, we can explain it to if we're maybe having some listeners that are younger than us, which we probably do because of the student population here. So if we go back and still talk about a bit of history, we could talk about our guy. I know everybody got feelings about him, but our guy, Bill Cosby, one of his initial plans and his motives was to start a show that represented Black families in a middle class to upper class setting, and not just poor, and not just struggling, and not just sad and fatherless, right? So we had the successful mother who was a lawyer, and a successful dad who was a doctor, and 5 kids, and just living life and doing their thing. And so it was a representation that we are not a monolith, right? So one of the daughters goes off to college, and instead of stopping or writing her out the show or only having her visit, we have a spinoff called A Different World. And A Different World is an HBCU experience. It was probably one of the first visions of college and HBCU experience that was on TV, that gave people who come from generations of people who were not college educated, right? Giving them a little bit of insight of not only what college looks like, but what it looks like from a Black perspective, and being amongst your own people and learning our history and the ups and downs, the goods, the bads. And so the school was called Hillman. Okay. It was called Hillman University. Yeah. And so now they are doing a play off words and calling it HillmanTok. We have created our own Hillman right here on TikTok. I hope I explained it good.
Yes, it is. It's a good explainer. And remember, I grew up watching the Bill Cosby show. I do not agree with anything he did in his personal life. That was problematic. However, the show itself was huge back in the day. And yeah, it was amazing. And before he was wearing them cool sweaters, he was wearing sweatshirts, and every sweatshirt he wore was
the HBCU. Yes. Yeah. And do you know how much?
I'm sorry?
Do you know how much HBCU enrollment skyrocketed then?
Yes.
Yeah. And the pride behind it. So, same, I think, is going to happen here.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I want to go to A&T.
You want to go to A&T?
I want to go to A&T.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I catch your drift. I'm picking up what you putting down.
No. Not the old Dell, the new Dell.
Oh,
I just want to be a student.
all right, cool. Are you going to enroll in Dr. Barlow's African American Studies course?
And sit in the back and not say nothing.
Okay, cool.
Just go ahead and let it wash over me.
Well, y'all know that I always, first of all, I'm an HBCU graduate. Okay. And even though that's from the university level, and even though PG is not an HBCU, Prince George's Community College may as well be. So, two-time HBCU graduate. And listen, if I ever had to go back, y'all already know my dream college has always been Howard University, and now I live 7 minutes away. So who knows what's in the cards? Literally. So
my nephew is 18 now, and he wants to go to college, and he was talking about going to an HBCU. So I said, hey, let's go visit all of them.
Mm.
You let me know when your schedule allows, and we will drive anywhere you need to go to see these colleges. I went to a PWI.
Okay.
But I applied to go to Howard.
You got accepted?
I got accepted in like October, and I had already been in school for 2 months at that point. So, I mean, if I was smart, I would have transferred, but
sure.
I think it was October when I decided to become a dad of my freshman year.
That'll do it.
I couldn't
stay
go
right where I am.
Man, I got accepted, but it was expensive. So we will see what things are worked out for me if I ever go back.
Yeah.
So
okay, HillmanTok, Dr. Barlow.
I was impressed.
Find this first of all.
Huh?
How did you find it? Did it just come across your feed?
It was on my For You page.
Okay.
And I, like everybody else, thought that this was awesome. Professors out here really trying to teach African American studies, and I was intrigued because of the climate that we're in right now. And I'm like always thinking about what is going to be that thing that we do now to come together as a community and to help each other advance, right? And so when I saw that, I just went over to her page. And everybody was in the comments talking about how they can enroll. And then I saw a second video, because as you start exploring people's pages, you're like, what's going on? And that's when she was explaining that, baby, this ain't for y'all. This for my real students. And somebody comment said, Dr. Barlow, we are your real student. Like they basically made her teach them. So that's how I found it on your For You page.
Okay. I would not have found it, because I guess I'd look at trash on TikTok. So it didn't come across my For You page. But you told me about it, and I investigated thoroughly.
Okay. So let's start out with how you feel about what you've seen so far on her page, because you see so far she's posting mini lectures. So how you feel about her approach?
100% love it.
Okay.
I think what she is doing should be the future of college education. It should not be closed off to anybody, and it should be delivered in bite-sized pieces. That's not the way I teach, but the way she teaches is much more accessible to like the average Joe, and it really is important that we impart some of this information. Now, I do have some stuff I want to complain about, but we'll get to that later.
Okay. Yeah, I got it on here because I got it on here to talk about too. But what I will say, I think that even though the lectures are short,
yes,
I think first of all, it's still very academic. You still have to critically think. You're not grasping that information if you don't cut your brain on. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care how bite-sized it is. Like, you have to turn on your critical thinking skills, and you have to really, really dive deep, right? But then on top of it, it's only fair to her actual students that she only give y'all bite-sized pieces. Now, if they're gonna get all of what I'm getting, and I'm paying this tuition, I'm unenrolling. I'm going to TikTok. So, I think it's fair on both ends, but you definitely, you want to be open to learn. You want to have your notebook open. You want to actually investigate deeper into what she's talking about, do the research, and just open your mind and read your classroom, your students, your peers. They are the people in the comments, and see how they're analyzing the different songs and the different things that she's talking about. And it could be a great experience. What about you, David?
Yeah. So I have this thing. I love it when we hear the truth about us from us, because there's no substitute for it. There's no watering down, and there's also no condescension where it's just like, I'm going to tell you who you are based on what I'm saying you are. It's like, no, this is the history of our people. This is where we came from. This is what's going on now. And I love the bite-sized mini series. I've watched, I don't know, I probably binge about 6 videos, just like one after the other, because it's interesting. Like, it's not too much, but it's enough to keep you interested and to keep you seeing what else. And like you said, it makes you research and say, okay, let me check into this a little bit further.
Can I tell you something from a teacher's perspective? I love it because it does give the students or people who haven't even gone to college yet a sprinkle of what college really is and what's really required and the level of thinking that you have to have. And now they should be able to better understand why they have to perform, why they need to perform well now, if they're like in high school, like I'm teaching, and also why people are so proud of their education and their college degrees. Because your thinking literally shifts, your mind literally expands, your worldview literally changes because it's imparted in you by your professors if you're open to it. And honestly, you can't really be successful unless you open your mind and think beyond the box, you know? So yeah. I love that exposure. It's like a preview to college, you know, or to university. And I also love, like you said, how we teach each other about our history, because that was my favorite thing about being at HBCU. It was like a place where you can literally be Black as hell unapologetically. We don't have many spaces like that. So the only other place I felt like that outside of HBCU was in Africa, where you saw Black people just being unapologetically them. So it felt refreshing to sit in a classroom and can literally talk slang or Ebonics to my teacher, and then they can switch right back to professor, PhD having mode right after. But we saw each other, we understood each other. It was no judgment. And heck, if your teacher wanted to say a cuss word or two, they would do that too, right? And we never made it seem like, oh, because they said this word, they're not educated, they're not brilliant, they're not qualified, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'm older than all of y'all. I went to school a long time ago first, before I decided to become dad. And when I was going to school, I went to a white school in Detroit. So, I mean, some of the other students were Black, but a lot of the professors were white. And I had this one experience with a white professor in my history class. It was, this is like 1980. It was exactly 1982. And the history class was U.S. history post 1965. So it wasn't real long history.
Not
right. Post 1965. So now that's your history we're looking at. So he was talking about the Vietnam War. He was talking about the Black Panther Party. He was talking about some of those things, and he was lecturing specifically on the Black Liberation Army. And he used some of the language. I mean, I'm taking my notes, and he said, "Stick him up, motherfucker." And I said, "Whoa." Okay.
That was intense.
That was intense. And then he was giving an example of what the environment was like. And then these white kids in the back were talking, and he like flipped. He cussed them out and threatened to fight them in class. I was like, this is not high school.
It's not. Reality check.
Fuck out my class and don't ever fucking come back.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a white dude.
Knocked you right out of whatever fog you had going on in your mind. It's like, oh shoot.
I better study. I'm thinking I can fuck with him. This is my man. All right.
But that's kind of how I feel about Dr. Barlow too. I love the fact that she is unapologetically her Black woman. She's Mama Bear. The people, if you read the comments, the people's like, "Woo, it's strict in here," and I love it because it always feels good to see people who remind you of yourself, like not in all aspects, but just in, okay, the way I approach teaching and discipline and just being unapologetic. You're just a Black mama. It's all love, but come in, sit down and be quiet. She said something like that, like y'all was a little rowdy in that last class. I love it because we understand that language. You know, you say that to people who are not raised by a Black mama and they probably think you're being harsh. But if you're raised by a Black mama, you know what it is. Right. Even when I talk to my Black students now in this classroom, I could talk to them in a way that's different than I could talk to the other students simply because I know they understand.
Right. Now, when I started teaching, I wasn't teaching at Prince George's. I've only been there for 18 years and I've been teaching for over 30. So when I started teaching, I was teaching white students. I could not be my white professor with those white students. I'd got fired. I got fired and arrested. But I can be fully myself with my current students.
Exactly.
Because I get to be that mama bear that says I want to succeed. And I need for you to straighten this shit out now so we don't have to worry about it later on.
Exactly. Yep. So it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It definitely does. It's like there's no language barrier. Like you said,
right.
Being in the HBCU, you can walk around with your do-rags and things and nobody's looking at you like I need to clutch my purse or I guess today we need to learn about etiquette. Like, listen, it's the 8 o'clock in the morning class. You lucky I'm here. Like, you know.
Now that depends on the university, though. I'm gonna say because some of them do have a dress code, and you're gonna still come in here like you got some sense and act like you're in a professional setting, because you still are at the university level now, and you be getting you up ready for the world. You gotta represent us right. So some people are more strict about it because, listen, they already look at us in a certain way. We gotta represent a certain way. We gotta represent ourselves better. So they say no pajamas. I ain't never seen nobody at Morgan with no pajamas on in class, no scarves, no bonnets. They wasn't having it. Now, when you outside and you doing your thing with your friends on campus outside of like class time, that's something different.
Morehouse, if you're at Morehouse, you're wearing a suit and tie, a jacket and tie in class.
I appreciate it.
You are not late for class. You address your professors by their title.
Doctor. Because most of your professors are doctors.
They are doctors.
Even your associate professors are doctors at university level. So
assistant type doctors at university level.
So I had a professor, I think he was younger than me or my age, but he was Dr. Corey. And I had nothing but respect for him and his knowledge and his wisdom what he gave to us. So,
and see that brings up the one minor complaint I got about HillmanTok.
Okay, tell me.
So it's just like anything else popular. A lot of people want to join in.
And
the people joining in, I'm going to be Dr. Dell teaching you about personal hygiene. No, you ain't Dr. Nobody. The reason they call her Dr. Barlow is because she earned a PhD.
She's a doctor.
And in the beginning, like the first week or two, it was literally real professors.
Right.
Then next thing I know, I got the same complaint on here. Next thing I know, hi, my name is Joy Marie, and I'm teaching sewing 101. Sis, with all due respect,
call me Dr. Joy.
Right.
Go somewhere.
Dr. Needle and Thread.
We want to focus on academics right now. You could have been made that page. I feel like you water it down when you start trying to do it just for engagement, to jump on a trend, to go viral. It's going to kind of water down the movement, you know? So that is one thing that kind of irritated me.
And that watering down was quick.
Yeah. A few videos in, that's like, wait a minute, I'm Dr. So-and-so. And I'm Dr. So-and-so, and I'm going to teach you how to do a fold fitted sheet.
And I'm going to teach you how to do a flip over weave.
Okay.
It's overwhelming too. If you put too many classes, it becomes overwhelming. Like I have enough, experience to know how to just narrow it down to what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So I only committed to 2. That was Dr. Barlow. And I can't remember the other professor because he only had 1 class so far, but he teach finance. Mm. That's it for me. I can't handle it. Just like in college, you can't take but so many courses, especially if you're a working adult. Like if you really want to be engaged in the course.
Yeah.
So, but it can be overwhelming for those who find interest in so many things and they all over the place. So I'm hoping we can kind of find a way to get things back on track. I know they had created the website and organized the classes and, so you see that they had the apparel. So they had like a HillmanTok shop where you can buy your sweatshirts and all of that stuff. But did y'all hear that somebody trademarked it?
Somebody not from HillmanTok?
Trademarked it.
So
probably.
I was thinking in the beginning when you told us about it, but when I first started watching the videos, I immediately thought to myself, I hope they have a fail safe or something in case somebody tries to come in here and monetize it or change it. And not to mention the platform you're on. Once it gets bought by Musk or whatever, they could easily shut it down just like this. So I'm like, is there a backup plan or some kind of contingency? Because we already know. I'm thinking Black Wall Street all over again. I'm like, as soon as they get traction, next thing you know, bow, go.
Burn it down by any means. So someone has trademarked it, so they can't even sell the merch anymore. Mm. You know what I'm saying? So I have to do more investigation on that. Like, have they found out who trademarked it, et cetera, et cetera? But my assumption is that they were trying to trademark it. Whoever is a part of the community that they built for HillmanTok was trying to go into trademarking it, and they found that somebody already did.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the one thing. I was like, man, I hope this isn't too much too soon. Because again, you're on an enemy's platform already. They're already monitoring everything. So I'm like, it's a reminder. You got to have everything, your ducks in a row before you get started, just to make sure you protect what you have created.
And that is true. But I also think that it happens when you go viral. When something goes viral, you literally are not prepared for it. So you're trying to run and prepare as quickly as possible. And I think even in them moving at the fastest speed they could, you just can't cover every base. The good thing was that a lot of people joined in to offer the expertise that they could. Like I said, somebody setting up the website, somebody creating the merch, and somebody even being interested to go and get the trademark done. But there's always somebody faster than you and got more money than you to do it. Okay.
Becky now owns HillmanTok.
I hate her. And even some of you see some of the others were trying to join in on HillmanTok. It's like we can't have nothing.
Can't have no nice things.
Like, goodness, y'all like, oh, did you guys join in on the class? Go to TikTok University. That's for y'all. HillmanTok is for us. It's for Black people in my Canva stage plays. It's for Black people. It's for the Blacks.
Well, hold on a minute, because let me embrace my Scottish heritage. And
what is it, 2%?
No, it's scary.
Okay.
It's scary. But as I embrace my Scottish heritage, shouldn't we have a white history class on HillmanTok?
That's what they teach us American history. White history is American history. That's what they teach us American history. And they only
especially now.
Yeah, so we don't need an extra class. But I don't have a problem with them learning Black history. They should. But I also know that when they start to come in, it takes away the freedom that we talked about earlier that we have in our own spaces to be fully ourselves without code switching, without holding back, without biting our tongue. So let us have our space, and you go over there and open up a book and learn, or maybe somehow get your professor to educate themselves enough to teach you about the full history of America,
There are white academics who have studied Black history. There are white academics who teach Black history.
Yeah.
They don't have to be on HillmanTok. They can do it somewhere else for other folk.
Yeah.
Side.
Yeah.
And bring somebody in, because you know how I feel. I feel like it's almost like I definitely believe, like, I can't remember, what's that older lady that's been teaching Black history for years, older white lady. She don't play. I love her.
I know who you're talking about.
Is it like Jill? Is it with a J? It might be start with a J, I think. But
I think
Jane.
Yeah.
She plays no games.
Right.
But still, I think you kind of, it's like that difference between sympathy and empathy, right? Like, you talk about it from a perspective of what you've learned, but you can't talk about it from a perspective of what you've lived, right? And no, we haven't lived through actual slavery, like, but we've lived through the effects of it. And so we still have an experience that's directly connected to that thing. So we can talk about it from a perspective of like real life experience and not just what we think or what we read about.
Can I send us on a quick little detour?
Okay.
So we cannot talk about actual slavery because we have not been slaves. And I think with contemporary history, we spend way too much time focusing on our people were enslaved and way too little time focusing on our people survived, are still surviving Jim Crow. We are still surviving Jim Crow now. So even though we haven't survived slavery, we have survived Jim Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are here and we have survived spaces that we didn't necessarily have to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that. But I feel, again, I'm about to say, like David saying, I think it all still is going to always stem, if we trace it all the way back, it still starts as slavery. And that's why that's always going to be the first thing that's brought up, is because that is the genesis in this country.
That's the original sin of America that they never repented of.
Yes, that's the original sin. We talked about this last episode. If you want to hear some crazy shit, go back to the last episode. Yes, we talked about it, but when I did my genealogy, one of the things I found was my second great grandfather had all this land. He got his 40 acres and then built on that 40 acres. When he died, he had to sell the land because he could not legally pass it on to his kids. That's Jim Crow.
Mm-hmm.
He had assets that he could not pass on.
Yeah.
The law said he couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're dealing with today. We don't have this generational wealth because the law kept it away from us. That's the Jim Crow that you live with and I live with.
Yeah. Still, there would be no civil rights needed if it weren't for Jim Crow.
Yeah.
Essentially. And so I've heard stories, even talking to my parents and grandparents, about the things they lived through and grew up with. And I'm like, we're acting like this was 400 years ago. This was 60, 70 years ago. And we're still like, like you go to certain places in this country, it's still Jim Crow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's still sundown towns. There's still places that it's not safe for you to walk around openly if you're Black.
And the reality is we don't gotta go far.
No,
go a little bit down the road in our own area. Like, so
come visit me. I'll see all about it. Right down the street.
Listen, I won't be there at dark. Okay. I'll be on my way out of there at least. I can say, like, even when I was driving Uber, I remember, like, if I drop people off in certain neighborhoods, you like to stop for a second after you drive. Driving is taxing, right? So let me take a second, recover, drink some water. If I was in certain neighborhoods, I wouldn't even park there because I already know somebody gonna want to know what my black tail doing in their neighborhood. So the fact that we even have to think like that, is so much different than what the experience is of a person that is white, because they don't have to think like that. It will be a shock to them. And it would be abnormal if somebody did come to them and question them about being in their neighborhood like they don't belong. But for us, it would never be abnormal or a shock to us. It may hurt our feelings, it may be that reminder that, oh, things haven't changed, but it wouldn't be something that would shock us, because we already have to turn our brain to think we can't be in certain places. We don't fit here in their mind.
Listen, the fear that every one of us feels during a regular traffic stop, or just if a cop is driving behind you, for somebody else, they don't think of it as potentially life-threatening. And
they be cussing the police out.
Right. They even attack them. I know I'm drunk, so what? But we can be as calm and as relaxed and compliant and still end up with 4 or 5 rounds in our chest because we followed orders. You wanted my license and registration. I reached slowly and you said it was a weapon and unloaded. And who's going to defend me? Then it'll be stories of, well, he was a drug dealer or he had this in his system. But you told me over for
they don't give you was 5. Exactly. They're going to find something you did wrong. And that's going to be at the forefront of your story.
And you pulled me over for a brake light, which resulted in my demise. Make it make sense. Sad.
So question.
Sorry for that little detour.
Cool. The people love it. Now, question. If we go swing back to the HillmanTok, did you guys enroll in any class? Have you followed any class outside of Dr. Barlow's? Any other classes?
No, but I do follow this other dude. And dang it, I just got rid of his name too. Dr. Michaud. And teaches, he's not on HillmanTok, but he teaches Ebonics and African American culture. And I couldn't even tell you where, but
I need to find him.
Yeah, I will send them to you. As soon as the next one that comes up, I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
I haven't enrolled in anything. I actually don't even have a TikTok account, but I was like, how you don't have that? Kids, life. I was like, after I got Instagram, I was like, Instagram, I thought was going to be it for me for a while because I'm like, I don't have time to keep up with everything. But I will say, looking at those videos made me curious. And so I'm like, I'm going to do some more digging to see what they have to offer. And of course, there are other people that are teaching as well. So HillmanTok right now is at the forefront of my mind, but I'm always open to learning about new people teaching the truth. You know what I mean?
So this is the last question I have for you all. Do you all think that this is Black history in the making?
Yes. Every day is Black history in the making.
But you don't think this is a like isolated thing that's gonna be like one of those pivotal things that happen to change the trajectory of where we're going as a community?
I do, but I think that it you want to say something first before I go into this one, David, because I got a lot to say.
Yes. Okay. So for me, I would say yes and no. Yes, in the sense of it's catching, like as most movements do, they catch people by surprise and they hold their attention for a while, especially considering the climate that we're in. I think it's really going to increase the curiosity and people are going to want to hear a little bit more. The reason I say no is because it's on a public forum that is not for us, that's not by us. And with that, always comes censorship at some point or, lack of visibility, some way, somehow, maybe not, unless you know about it, you might not get it in the algorithms like everything else. And so for me, it's kind of like, I really just hope that this is a preview of not just us in public forums, but us just getting back to teaching each other and being open to learn. Yeah, like, because I think these public forums ultimately are going to be the salvation of our people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think this is in the future going to be like looking back at DJ Kool Herc and the foundation of something that changes and grows and becomes a fabric of a fiber within the community for the long haul. So we might look back at it and say, remember when there was that HillmanTok for a hot minute? That's what led to this entire platform for Black educators. And that's led to this next thing for the way that we use social media in order to educate.
The way we approach education in terms of people not needing money to learn.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, maybe changing the whole thing around college being free. That might take time, but it's been talks about college being free and everybody deserving an education. But this may be just an extra push in that direction.
Yeah.
I was definitely elated to see the amount of people interested in gaining knowledge. It was just that sweet reminder that, oh, people actually, there are a group of people who actually want to learn, who actually care about knowledge, right? And I don't know why that just warmed my heart. Maybe because I'm like the nerdy girl. I always loved school,
right?
And I've always been like in a minority in that department. Like people like school. What you go to school for? I told y'all, even when I went back to college, everybody's like, "What you going back to school for?" Because I want to go back to school, and if it paid, I would probably be a career student. Yeah. I can't be a career student right now because the bills got to be paid, and I retire when I finish working to pay these bills. But yeah, so it was just a good, sweet reminder that, you know, people really want to learn, and it also, to me, should be a way for those who are against free education to see that, trust me, everybody won't come. Because I think that's the fear, is that you're just going to give it to everybody. It's going to be like public school education and anybody can come and they got to come. Trust me, everybody ain't coming, because not that many people actually want to choose to study, but we're going to gather all the people that want to choose to study and we're going to educate them. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think that the challenge for me anyway is that we want to look at HillmanTok University as free education, because education is very expensive. But it's always been free for some.
You say it's always been free?
Always been free for some.
Not us.
Not us.
Let me ask this question. Now, we're talking about HillmanTok. We're going to go back to HillmanTok.
Yes.
We love the fact that they're educating for free and dedicating their time. Do we feel like they should earn some money?
Absolutely.
How?
Yes. I don't know how they should earn some money, but they should certainly be paid for not just their time, but their expertise.
Yes.
And maybe we should be able to differentiate between those who are real professors and those who are faking it.
Yeah.
Put your degree on the wall behind you, please. Let me see the seal.
All behind you, and give me a close-up before we start.
Right. So I can see that Kmart sign on the bottom.
Thank you for using Staples.
$59.99. You bought that? Yeah.
But yeah, I think they should, like, I love the fact that if the engagement is good enough, they will get paid from TikTok. From what I hear, I don't know, because I don't post enough to even get to the point where I'm making some money. But from what I hear, TikTok pays well. So if we can keep their engagement up, they can get paid in that way. And then again, through the books that people got to buy, you can't give them the books, but hey, you can go online and buy the books. Use my influencer link, and let's make some money. Let's make some money. You may not get rich, but it'll be a little extra change. That's your part-time right there.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there should definitely be a difference between the stuff you're giving for free and the stuff you're, getting paid for, because that also separates the learner. You invest in things that you are concerned about. So if you want this information, it's going to cost you a little bit. If you want to go deeper, I'll give you enough to make you curious, but I ain't giving all this out for everyone to be off some. Oh, I can become a professor now because I got it all for free.
It's basically a commercial. Hey, just keep your attention on infomercial. Keep your attention all this time, and then here's the link for more information for this price. Right? Just a little preview. So
only the doctors and professors should get paid.
Maybe they should do the Wikipedia model. So they just ask you for a donation. If you enjoyed this, send us a couple dollars. And then somebody at the organization says, okay, we've collected $100,000 this month. Who gets paid? Dr. Barlow gets money. Dr. B-Rock, maybe not.
We need a verification, please.
Yeah. I mean, you had some cute stuff going on there, but you don't really get any money that people have donated to HillmanTok. Maybe TikTok gave you some money because you went viral.
Yeah.
Right.
I like it. I like that approach because I'm gonna tell you, I know the people got money because every time a GoFundMe or a donation page is up, the people be raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm like, wow, you got money.
Y'all want to support me? Shoot, I got a cause now.
That's what what's that other one for businesses called? Dang, it's a donation site.
Call it right now. And
I don't know what,
but yeah,
it's escaping me. I need to set one up there. Since y'all like to donate.
Right.
So next week, what are we gonna review for next week? It's your turn, David.
So I gotta figure out which episode, but there's a podcast called R&B Money. I want to say that.
Okay.
Tank and Bobby V.
Okay. That's not Bobby V.
Is it? Who is that?
That's Jay Valentine.
Jay Valentine. Yeah. It's like V somewhere. Yeah.
Just send me a link because I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I got to find the episode. They got a few of them. I'm like, they funny. I like their vibe.
Okay.
You know, Tank is my favorite male vocalist. Well, my favorite male R&B singer. I won't say vocalist, but I like his music.
Man is a singer, so they talk all things R&B. So yeah, it's
And
another one of those.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm good. Okay.
Oh no, they talk about R&B, and again, it's a for us by us. And get some of the great artists of our day. It's good time. Good time. So
okay, we're gonna watch the R&B Money podcast. That's the easy one for me to watch.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, we're gonna do a student podcast that I think is really good. Y'all gonna enjoy this one actually.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, that's all for today's episode, guys. Thank you for joining us for another week of the Prince George's Weekly. Periodically.
Other day.
See you guys again next time. We love you. Peace.
Take care.